think as a manager, our aim is really to help people retire with a higher level of financial assets so that they can enjoy a higher quality of life, at least from a financial perspective. The other responsibility I think that we have as investors is to steer the capital towards companies that are actually helping society to become more sustainable. And the Alphinity Sustainable Fund does exactly that. We invest in companies that do good for society and hopefully also do good for our clients. We really want that win-win. And that's the dual objective that I find very satisfying. As I mentioned, we have a dual objective. The first one is to invest in companies that do good. And the second one is to deliver strong returns to our clients. Both of these objectives are really important. So I'll touch on both of how we address each of them. The first one is to set an investable universe, which is a sustainable one. And we do that by anchoring the whole notion of sustainability around the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. These are grand goals like reducing poverty, improving healthcare, lifting education, creating sustainable infrastructures in cities, addressing climate change, to name some of them. And we've developed with Citigroup a framework that allows us to really score and assess the contribution of a company towards these sustainable development goals. And we really want to invest in companies that support at least one of these goals, and does so with good ESG practices. That also means that we will not invest in companies whose activities go against these goals. You can obviously not support thermal coal and invest in that, whilst at the same time trying to improve climate change. There are quite a few gray areas, not as black and white as the one I just mentioned, where judgment needs to be applied. And for that, we have created a sustainable committee team with 2 independent, highly reputable experts that help us think through these issues on a case-by-case basis and make sure that we always stay true to our charter. So once the investment universe is defined, comes the second objective, finding companies that will outperform the market. So we fish in that sustainable universe and try to look for these companies. And here we apply a very focused investment philosophy that we've been applying for more than 15 years. We're looking for quality, reasonably valued companies that keep delivering higher than expected earnings, i.e. they keep surprising positively. And our research is entirely focused on finding these companies. The good thing is you can find them at any point in the market. You can find them in a market which goes down, in a market that goes up. These cycles of earnings are independent of the markets. So it's a pretty good focus. CSL has been one of our highest conviction stocks in the portfolio. The company from a sustainable side is of course addressing very, very strongly the health side, SDG 3, through its life-saving drugs. Its main business is to collect plasma through collection centers in the US, from which it extracts the hemoglobin and then it infuses it or injects it in people with immune deficiencies, and it's a global leader in that. Also through its biotech research, it uses the remaining proteins in the plasma to create drugs that treat bleeding disorders and also a bunch of other reasonably rare conditions. In addition, a few years ago, it acquired an influenza company, which makes global. It's now a global leader in vaccines, combating the flu, but also pandemics such as the one we are facing for the moment. So, as I mentioned, from an SDG perspective, a very, very strong contributor. In terms of its investment case, the company has kept surprising the market positively in terms of earnings. Its investment in the collection centers a few years ago has really paid off. It's winning market share. The prices of IG are getting stronger, so it's really capturing a lot of margins. Also, it's turned around its vaccine business, and it's creating it and transforming it into much better than it was initially, and certainly well ahead of its guidance. So despite the strong rally in the share price, we still believe that its earnings are still underestimating, with more growth to come from the existing businesses, but also from new drugs it's working on, such as CSL 112 and transplant therapies that could become real blockbusters. And we don't believe that the market is actually prescribing a lot of value to those. So CSL is really a good example of a company which does good to society and has done so far very well for our clients and investors.